I gave this talk 12 years ago, and I kind of stuck it in my glove compartment. And so it's charity. If you ever had somebody cancel out, I'd pull it out, and that's where we are. So I'm a substitute speaker, and I gave this talk similar 12 years ago, and at the time I solicited from the congregation and friends sayings that meant something to them, and added to my list if I liked them. And I think this is important in my little world because many religious people have their Bible and their Quran and other scriptures to go by, and in my case, some of these things probably came from there, but I like them because they make sense. Okay, the first one I'm going to give, and I thought it'd be helpful if you could read them on there, but if not, you'll use your imagination. Think carefully the field you're prepared to die on. We should have done it when we got it set up.
We'll get there.
Think carefully the field you're prepared to die on. My daughter was kind of a action kind of. Am I screwing up your camera?
You're fine.
My daughter's kind of a take charge person. If she saw something of an injustice, she would step right up and go for it, regardless of the consequences. And sometimes it might not be worth being a field you want to die on. I think she'd take that to heart because not every little cause that comes up is worth sticking your neck out and getting in trouble. I'm a little more conservative than she is when it comes to stepping up, but I had my Rosa Parks moment, which I mentioned before. I was on the grand jury of Franklin County, and we all had to stand and swear to do our job, so help us God. And I had to stand up and I said, "Sir, what's that have to do with anything? First of all, what's it mean, so help you God? Don't know what it means, but number two, that has no place in this." And I thought, okay, I'm going straight to prison for life. And believe it or not, he apologized. He said, "We're required to do that." And then later the district attorney also apologized. And so I thought, well, things aren't so bad anyhow. So I was prepared to die, but it didn't happen. I like this one. As I say, I think many of these things I think are great to have in the back of your mind when a situation arises. You have the wrong saying in mind, you might end up in jail or something. And I like this one. You are responsible for your own happiness, not your parents, spouse, or your friends, but you. And I think a lot of people depend on other people. Hey, you're not making me happy. Well, that's your job. Do it for yourself. Be careful what you say, because you can't take it back. And a corollary of that is be really careful what you email, because throughout the news, people regret finding something on the headlines of the paper. I saw it at UT once. Somebody put something in there and ends up on the front page, and you end up losing your job and a lot of other things. Okay. How am I going to go to the next slide?
Try and just hit the space bar, and if
Okay.
that doesn't work, I'll come up.
How about the last one, Bill?
I'm
Money-
right there.
money doesn't
Live on
have
less
to
than you
pay.
make. I think that's really good. This is a Dave Ramsey thing. Live on less than you make, and pretty soon the money piles up.
Well, it may
And,
pill up also.
Fill up.
Okay. Oh, he pointed out there's some typos on there. I kind of do that on purpose just to see who's. Another Dave Ramsey quote, and I think this might come from the Bible: "The borrower is beholden to the lender." I think that's pretty good, because you're always under this cloud And it's best to get out from under the cloud if you can.
Amen.
At the Hands-On Science Center, we're going through a new management and new philosophy, think big or go home. So we've got a new executive director and the new president, think big or go home. So we're going to do big things or go home. The corollary, or the opposite of that, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So we're going to see how this is going to turn out.
All bases covered.
I'm supporting think big or go home, but I keep saying, oh, okay. Some of the things need to be fixed, but it's going to be different. A year from now, it's going to be different. Don't do something you'll be sorry for later. I think the prisons are full of people who wish they'd have thought a little bit more before they did what they did. Where there's a will, there's a way. And being married to Lucy, when she says I can't do something, then that pulls out my will. I'm going to figure out how to do it after she says I can't do it. Sorry about that. Maybe that's a trick to get me to do things. I think Get it right. Well done. This too shall pass. Boy, that sure is handy when you've got leg cramps and things like that. Say it 1,000 times. Or a kidney stone. That's a good one for kidney Don't live for the moment. Make the moment happen now. My nephew, he just sent this, and he's in Australia, and he's a young guy with no attachments, and he's on his own, and he's doing it. He just went to Dubai, and he's a snowboard instructor in Colorado, and now he's in Australia swimming, scuba diving in the Australian reef, and he's making his moments happen now. And sometimes taking the consequences, like breaking his bones and they're sticking out. But he's doing what he wanted to do, and he goes for whatever the latest thing to do. Skydiving, that would be next, I'm sure. Space bar.
There you go.
Yep.
I learned this kind of the hard way. I was at the Holloman high-speed test track, and I was running a test of a rocket on this little rail test track. We were doing some kind of a test on a nose cone or something. It was going to go like 4,000 miles an hour. I was supposed to launch at 2 a.m. And so I showed up, and the guy that came to say, hey, where's the braking schedule? How are we going to brake this thing? And I said, well, you didn't send it to me. And I should have known I needed one. I said, it was 2 a.m. and they had another launch the next morning at 8 a.m. And I said, well, it was 2 a.m. and what are we going to do? So we just put a bunch of sandbags on the track and thought, that might work. So I don't know if you're familiar with Holloman Air Force Base, but the test track's way out in the desert, and then there's another facility about 5 miles away. Came off of a track and landed on their power supply, so they were out of electricity. So guess what my boss said to me?
Yeah.
There's time to do it over again, but not enough time to do it right the first time. What goes around, come around. Or you can put a S on there. And I just had one friend that repeated that many, many times. What goes around comes around. And somebody's bad to you, something bad going to happen to them eventually. So it makes them feel better when you've been slighted. Better to give than receive. Well, I guess I just had to throw that one in because it's a nice one. When behind a slow driver, assume that the driver has a meringue pie on the floor and is taking it to the hospital for their dying mother. All Betsy Webb. I think that came from her. Another thing, when cut off in traffic, assume the driver's wife is about to deliver. And, again, takes care of road rage a little bit. Now, the one, I guess, came from the Bible somewhere. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. There's a little, they're spelled right anyhow.
Spacebar.
Spacebar.
Spacebar. Thank you. Okay, you be my spacebar person.
I can't do that.
Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. The word spelled right is just the wrong word. Golden rule. Well, you know, if everybody did that, I could get in a lot of trouble. Or I've invented this new rule: do unto others as you want them. As you want them. What's it?
You want to.
But anyhow, that's not too good by itself. I've developed, and I've got a patent on this, the platinum rule. Do unto others as they want you to do to them, and you want them to do to you. And then that takes care of everything, because sometimes what they want you to do to them is not what you want to do, and vice versa. But this kind of takes care of women encounters. You know, what you might want to do is not what they want. So this kind of covers all things. So I'm going to include that in my new church. Anything good never lasts.
Yep.
That comes from Iris DeMent, which I'll talk about here more. That's one of her songs, and that kind of goes through my head, because anything good never lasts. And even though it seems good, it's probably not going to last forever. In college, I had an instructor. I have no idea what the course was, but he wanted to get across the point that there's more than two sides to every story. And he just cited so many things, and it seemed to make sense, because you got this side and you got that side, but there might be many things in between. And I've tried to keep that in the back of my mind. It's not all black and white. There's a lot of gray in between, particularly, I guess, when you get to politics and things.
It's only great for
It's not gray, it's brown.
Space bar. This, I think, came from Betsy Webb. It's not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are. And you think about that, and you got to make a quick decision, and you think back on what's right and what's wrong, and it might help. I think this one came from a co-worker. Act your way into a better feeling, and the feeling will come later. So if things aren't going so good, just
Fake it till
take
you
it
make
until
it.
you make it. Another way of saying it. This comes from Lucy's mom. If your bedroom is messy, at least make the bed and the rest won't look so bad. You would never guess who's the last one out of the bed in our house. I've been pretty good about it, haven't I? Okay. When going from point A to point B, do something along the way. That's also Lucy.
Good idea.
That's how she gets a lot done. This comes, it's your funeral. That comes from Alice Bird. You remember Alice? She said it many times to her husband when he was doing something stupid. Space bar? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You remember that, Peter? Where's Peter? You remember giving me that one?
Nietzsche, right?
Oh, it's Nietzsche, okay.
That was 12 years ago. You submitted that. And then you had another one. Better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. And then I think you had an update at the end. I think you had an update at the end. Can you remember? You said, lately you're starting to realize you don't care whether you look like a fool or not. That's how you kind of modify that.
Old age.
This comes from Bob Croy, who used to come here frequently. I could have enjoyed the comforts of Boston, but I preferred to venture west. He wants that on his tombstone. Every moment is valuable, and I am included in every moment of my life. Again, from Betsy Webb. Okay, be careful what you ask for, because you push it too many times.
You're
Oh,
fired.
now it takes an IT
Fired.
person.
Yeah, want to do the same. Sorry. There you go.
Yeah, she did too many things in between.
I think they did another one too. Can you back up one more?
Oh.
We may regret it, but
The joy of technology.
There you go. Sorry.
be careful what you ask for, because KC Reddy was on my list 12 years ago, and you need an awful big bumper for this. This is a different level of bumper stickers. There's no limit to what a man can accomplish if he doesn't care. Never mind, that was wrong. I face-barred myself. This requires some deep thinking. Live in tune with the universal soul. Let this be the final craving which you cherish. Let this be your last prayer. Cast off your separate ego and merge in the universal entity. Let there be no distance, no distinction. Every particle of the human body is a symbol of universal existence. Creation is the image of the Creator. The experience of unity is the fulfillment of human endeavors. Wow! And if you have any questions, CKC. Remember that?
I can give you the book or Eric Vela.
Yeah, you have to read the book.
Yeah, gotta read the book. It's better than the movie.
There's no limit to what man can accomplish if he doesn't care who gets the credit. You remember that one? Chuck. Life is a journey, not a destination. Again, Chuck. And this is a genuine bumper sticker on the windshield. Question authority, charity.
Absolutely.
Again, charity. Make tea, not war. Never doubt that small, dedicated people can change the world. Indeed, which is all that ever has. Indeed, that came from Carrie Hawk. Can you remember that, Carrie? And that's also, what, Margaret Mead or something?
I can't remember how it really goes.
Okay, one more space bar, please.
Margaret Mead.
Okay, most important, do not put stickers on your bumper. They can't ever be removed. And finally, is there one more? Yeah, one more slide, please. Let the mystery be. So,
Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But no one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. I think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say what's gone is gone forever, and some say you're gonna come back. Some say rest in the arms of the Savior if in sinful ways you lack. Some say that they're coming back in a garden, bunch of carrots and little sweet peas. I think I'll just let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say they're going to a place called Glory, and I ain't saying it ain't a fact. But I've heard that I'm on the road to purgatory, and I don't like the sound of that. I believe in love, bound to live my life accordingly. But I choose to let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. I think I'll just let the mystery be. I think I'll just let the mystery be.
Good job.
I got hooked on her with another song, and then I found out a little bit about her, and I actually, at this age, I became a groupie. I actually went to see her once. Just loved all of her songs, and what made her such a good singer, I think, was her father had 14 children, and her mother had 8, and she was the youngest, and they grew up in a log cabin, and that somehow makes you sing good. Thank you very much. I'll talk back with your sayings. Thank you.